Munich in Germany is reeling from a shocking car attack that left 28 people injured just hours before the city hosts the high-profile Munich Security Conference. Authorities say a 24-year-old Afghan asylum seeker drove a Mini Cooper into a crowd of demonstrators near a police checkpoint. The victims were participating in a strike organized by the Verdi Public Sector Workers' Union. According to witnesses, the car threaded its way between police vehicles before suddenly accelerating into the crowd. The state of Bavaria's premier, Markus Söder, has called the incident probably an attack, raising fresh concerns about security threats in Germany. However, Bavaria's interior minister has stated that there is no indication that the attack was connected to the Munich Security Conference set to begin tomorrow. This incident comes just days before Germany's federal elections, once again putting security policies under scrutiny. In recent months, the country has witnessed many violent attacks and authorities are under pressure to prevent further such incidents. The attack happened just a kilometer and a half from the conference venue where top global leaders including US Vice President Vance and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskiy are expected to arrive later today. With security already on high alert for the Global Diplomatic Summit, this incident has intensified fears of more potential threats. The suspect has been detained and the police say that he no longer poses any threat. A passerby described the chilling moment, saying that he watched the car maneuver between police vehicles before speeding up and ramming into the people. Another witness confirmed that the vehicle accelerated suddenly, striking several individuals in the demonstration. As investigations continue, many questions remain. Was this an isolated act or part of a larger threat? Could the attack have been politically or ideologically motivated? With leaders from around the world descending on Munich, all eyes are on the city's security preparedness. Authorities will need to act swiftly to ensure that this major international event proceeds without any disruptions. One thing is certain, this incident has sent shockwaves across Germany, forcing the nation to confront yet another security crisis at a time of high political and diplomatic stakes.
Es ist furchtbar, was
It's terrible what happened in Munich today. A terrible attack. Even if we do not know everything, we will know at some point. One thing is already apparent. An Afghan perpetrator has seriously injured people here. And that is something we can neither tolerate nor accept. That is why it must be very clear that the judiciary will take tough action against this perpetrator with all the means at its disposal, and that we will make use of all the possibilities we have. It is very important for me to get the message across that anyone who commits crimes in Germany will not only be severely punished and sent to prison, they must also expect that they will not be able to continue their stay in Germany. And that also applies to countries where it is very difficult to repatriate someone. That's why the government I lead has managed to resume and carry out repatriations to Afghanistan, despite the lack of diplomatic relations. We have already organized such a flight with criminals. And although this is so complicated because it cannot be done directly, we are also in the process of doing this in other cases, and not just once, but on an ongoing basis. That must also be the guiding principle. And it will be the same for this perpetrator when everything is finally decided by the courts. The current state of the investigation is that a 24-year-old Afghan is suspected to be the perpetrator who drove a small white vehicle into the crowd. The crowd was a traveling assembly that had been registered by German trade union Verdi. Around 1,500 people are thought to have taken part in this gathering. The perpetrator drove the vehicle into the crowd, injuring a large number of people. At the moment, we are assuming that well over 20 people were injured, some of them seriously, and some even critically. He was then overpowered by police forces after a shot was fired by a police officer.
Wir haben eine Versammlung von Verdi
We have an assembly of German trade union, Verdi, that was traveling along the street of Seidelstrasse towards the square of Königsplatz for the final rally. The assembly was supervised by the police. Police vehicles were traveling behind the assembly. Then a vehicle approached from behind, caught up with the police vehicle, and then started to overtake at the height of the police vehicle. It then accelerated and drove into the end of the assembly, so to speak. Our colleagues then caught the perpetrator. The vehicle was shot at one time. The perpetrator was arrested. We are currently assuming that there are at least 28 people injured, some of them seriously. The exact number of injured has not yet been determined. At the moment, we can say that the perpetrator is a 24-year-old Afghan, an asylum seeker. I can't tell you any more details at the moment. That will have to be determined by the investigation.
Eines muss ich Ihnen sagen, es handelt sich wohl mutmaßlich einen Anschlag.
One thing I have to say now is that it is probably an attack. There are many indications of that. Everything else has yet to be determined. There's an Afghan citizen. We will clarify all the details, but we react prudently to any such attack. But I can also tell you that our resolve is growing. It's terrible. It is simply terrible, ladies and gentlemen. When you get the news that someone has driven a car into a crowd of people again, that there are many injured, it's a slap in the face. We do. We sympathize with the victims. We pray for the victims. We very much hope that everyone will make it. That even those who are very seriously injured at the moment and are struggling with everything, perhaps even with death, that they can get through everything as soon as possible and recover. We would like to thank the police for their swift and decisive action, that they were able to prevent other things to a degree.
Now, the incident occurred less than 24 hours before the highly anticipated Munich Security Conference, which is said to be attended by top global leaders, including US Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskiy. Taking to social media platform, the Munich Security Conference said that our thoughts are with the victims and their families. The emergency services are at the scene and an investigation is underway to determine the cause of this incident. We ask everyone to remain calm and follow the instructions of the authorities. The Munich Security Conference is set to begin on the 14th of February, bringing together world leaders, police policymakers and defense experts to discuss pressing global security concerns. The annual forum serves as a key platform for debating international security policy, addressing both immediate and long-term global threats. This year's discussions are expected to be dominated by the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, with leaders exploring potential peace plans and conflict resolutions. Over 60 heads of state and government, including representatives from the new US administration, like Vice President J.D. Vance and Donald Trump's special envoy, Keith Kellogg, are expected to attend the meeting. And some of the other names, big names attending the Munich Security Conference include European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, this is apart from US Vice President J.D. Vance and Special Envoy of Donald Trump, Keith Kellogg, who will be the big names attending this meeting. And 24 hours before that meeting, a terrible attack in Munich.